Welcome to Three Things. Tonight's guest is the host of the Chicken Dinner podcast. He also holds the record for the most alcohol consumed as a guest on the 108 podcast. He's the voice of the better in White Sox Nation, an avid Ricky Rentz detractor and Evan Williams drinker. And he knows Brent Musburger almost as well as Brent knows most college quarterbacks' moms. He's worked for RotoWorld, NBC Sports, VSiN, WCRX, WGN, and he's a BMF besides. Welcome to the show, Sam Panayotovich.
GFY, everybody. I hope I have enough. I hope I have enough for this episode. There's always refreshments around the corner. Actually, I think I have some under this cushion somewhere, but it's good to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Hell yes.
Dude, it's great to see you. And what's awesome is, so like, I've only known Sam a short while. We probably known each other like where we actually talk and text and stuff for probably a year, less than a year, Sam, would you say? And leading up to this, we were kind of like setting it up. And you know, when you're boys with somebody, you bust balls and you're sarcastic and you talk shit. And we couldn't even tell if one another were being serious to understand what time we were doing this.
You said 8:30 or 9:30, and I didn't respond. And then you're like, okay, well, 9:30. So, I mean, it is late. You know, I hopefully will be in bed pretty soon. I will say, though, back to the Bustin' Balls comment, it's funny because I was in Vegas about a year ago. This is long before COVID, so don't worry.
You're still safe.
I had brought like 7 people from different worlds together at this bar, and everybody hit it off like good old friends. And one guy at one point looked to the other guy and goes, "This fucking guy just brings people together." And I take pride in that because we don't know each other that long, but we still feel comfortable to be able to bust each other's balls and joke around and have some fun. So I do take pride in that.
Oh, you should. I mean, I feel like, you know, that's why I was like, how long have we even known each other? Because it feels like much longer than it probably has been. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we did the episode in Beef's basement, and like the amount of everything consumed that night was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you brought Summer of George with you.
Yes.
He ate like 42 hot dogs that night.
Yes.
My Sock Summer consumed a chair. Like he just the fucking thing just evaporated into dust. And there was enough pickle juice on Beefloaf's poker table to like fill a whole jar. So it was quite a night.
Yes.
Sammy,
that was good. That was fun.
I noticed something. I was catching up on a couple of Chicken Dinner episodes. You know, when Treasy and I were on there, it was this grassroots effort. It was just you, a solo man, doing a podcast all on your own. And then I listened in the other day, and you got like 4 co-hosts. What the hell's going on there? It's a big production now. What the fuck?
We've been trying some things on Fridays. I don't know how much longer that's going to be in play, but it's always interesting to hear a second voice. You know, you do it 5 days a week. It starts to get a little, you know, draining toward the end of the week. And by Friday, you know, you're supposed to have the most energy. It's supposed to be fun and all that. So I think it's always fun to add an extra pair of eyes or two to the conversation on Friday. Like, what did I miss during the week? Because we talked about these games on Monday and these games on Wednesday and this, you know, strategy on Thursday. What did I miss by Friday? And I think it helps keep everything even. It smoothens everything out. And, you know, the kid, Justin, who joins us on Friday now, he's so raw and he's like Play-Doh. He's moldable still. He's like, oh, I love the Ravens against the Patriots. I said, no. No, do not do that, because that's a Sunday night football game. 90% of the tickets are on the Ravens. There's a monsoon about to hit Foxborough, and it is still Bill Belichick against Lamar Jackson. And the kid goes, I don't care. You're on your own. You're on your own. So when you lay 7 on Sunday night and lose outright, I don't want to hear about it. But I think it offers a different element to the show. I don't know how long it's going to go that way, but I think it's good to keep things fresh.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting about the show is, you know, Treasy and I have a long background in advantage play. We were gamblers, making money, making half our income on gambling. What you bring to the table, in my opinion, and I don't hear it really hardly anywhere else, is you understand that side of it. Like, you can talk to people that understand that, but you could also talk to the person who's just coming on and just starting to understand and learn about betting, and you can kind of bring them into the world and get them interested in stuff. And so it's really it's a skill. I mean, we're lucky in Chicago to have someone like you talking on a podcast every day to explain that out there to all bettors of all different types.
I appreciate that. I like to think of it as a sports betting show for everybody. I don't know that My Sock Summer could listen because I don't think he knows what the point spread is. But I try and
You know what a spread is? I know what a spread is.
Yeah. Look, mayonnaise and mustard? No way.
Fat joke. Listen.
For everybody.
You can call me fat all you want. I am fat, all right? And I do like food. I get it. It's cool. Last time you saw me, I was probably even bigger than I am now. So it's fine. But I with all these gambling apps and us having our hands in the pot over at PointsBet, like I want to get involved in this stuff, and it's just like I have these two guys that should be telling me more things, and they don't. They're never like, hey, you know
that's
what
why
you
you
should
listen
do?
to
You should
Sammy.
try this. They're always like speaking. It's like they're speaking a fucking different language sometimes, and they don't even want to slow it down and just try to explain it to me. And it's like, wow, you guys are just assholes. Like, look, I want to make free money too. You know, so I got to listen to more of your fucking podcasts.
I mean, I could try and teach you how to arb, or you could just listen to Sammy and bet against the fucking bartender. I mean, like
right. So both
you
are
have
good.
two options.
Yeah, we can do that
Pick the
too.
easy
Yeah.
one.
I mean, I've had a lot of good ideas of like how to swing like promotions like for the PointsBet. Like, okay, here's a guy that like doesn't bet. Like the last time I betted like a lot in serious was 2005 NCAA tournament in Vegas, like because I watched college basketball that whole year. So I was like, I know what I'm kind of was like, I'm in on this, like I can get this kind of. And you know, after I bet Illinois on like a 25-point spread and they barely won the game by like 10 points in the first round, I was like, all right, maybe hands off. All right, maybe I shouldn't bet teams like this. Like I probably shouldn't do this. I'm not good at this.
There's nothing like laying 25 in the first round of the tournament, and you're only up 7 against Fairleigh Dickinson with like 6 minutes to go.
Yes.
There's
Oh my
nothing
God.
quite like that.
I was like, I don't give a fuck if I win this bet. I just want Illinois to fucking win this goddamn game. Like, just win the fucking game, because if the tournament's over now, I'm pissed. I am pissed. So
I don't know. I feel it's differently though. Like if I lay a number with a team and say it's Ohio State minus 17 and they're down 3 in the fourth quarter, I flip. I'm like, well, now I want them to lose. Like I want to go down the ship, because if you're not going to cover, I don't want you to win. But it's
I agree.
It's funny you bring up 2005, because in 05, I mean, that's like the Stone Ages right now for just betting, not for you guys, but just for betting. Because in 2005, I mean, Teresi, Beef, you guys know this, you could bet pregame, you could bet side, total, money line, and if you were lucky, you could get a second half line. There were no first quarter lines in the NBA or first half lines in college basketball. You couldn't bet over under a player's point prop. You couldn't bet will they have a blocked shot. It's just, there's so much more cereal in the aisle, and it's incredible how many things we could do. There was a bet at the Masters at PointsBet. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was 150 to 1 that Tiger would shoot a 10 or higher on any hole. And he goes through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He gets to Sunday and he puts 3 in the drink on the 12th hole, shoots a 10. Somebody bet $1 and won 150.
Oh my God.
You couldn't do that in 2005 or 2010 or even 2015.
Oh my goodness. When we first started on this, and it was probably around 2008, 2007-ish era when I was first starting getting serious. I mean, the only places I could even bet props were like the sportsbook.com skins, Bovada. I mean, there wasn't hardly anywhere where you could really get down on
was
props.
Bet Dog at that time, wasn't it? Was it
Bodog.
Bodog.
Yeah, yes.
Bet Dog, whatever.
And now everywhere has a million props, which is beautiful.
And Sam, I don't know if you know this, but I used to live out west. And when I was out west in California, a lot of my friends out there ran a book. Like they were they had a website, and it was an offshore thing, but like they went around and collected money and whatnot. And one of my buddies, who's a rather large guy, Big Lou, he fell down, broke his ankle, and I happened to be out of work. So his buddy was like, "Hey, you're going to fucking drive Lou around and he's going to go and make all these pickups. And I was like, oh my God, like, do I need to get a gun? Should I have a stun gun? Should I do any of this stuff? Right. And so like, we're driving and I'm talking to Lou while this is all going on. And I'm like, who do we have to go to? He's like, oh, we got to go to this guy. He owes me like $10,000. And I was like, oh man. He's like, yeah. He's like, we're going to play a joke on him though. Go stand over there. And when he comes up to pay me, I'm going to, give you the hand motion. You come up. Cause he's like, I always told him I got a guy that's going to come. I'm bringing the carolers this time to help me pick up the money or whatever. Right. So like he does it. And it's this little Asian guy that comes out in LA and he like walks out and he gives me the signal and I come walking and the guy's like, whoa, and he was just it was so weird. But I tell people, well, when people ask, but people usually don't ask because they don't know I lived out West. So that's why I have to mention it every show, that it was like if Walt Disney made a movie about bookies, that was what I experienced in those 3 weeks that I drove Big Lou around, because nobody did. I mean, I was like, what do you do if somebody doesn't pay? They're like, we just cut them off. Like, that's it. I go, you don't beat them up. You don't like take a hammer to their fingers or something. No, we just don't do anything. You just can't bet anymore. That's it. So
I like how you skipped right from brass knuckles to gun right away.
I had some brass knuckles that I bought in Mexico. They're pretty fancy.
Do I need to rough this guy up, or do I need to shoot him?
Listen.
Do we want to break his hand, or do we want to kill him? You just let me know.
LA's dangerous, my man. I mean, it's a twisted place out there. You might need a piece.
Isaac Summers got a whole new definition of down
Sue
for whatever.
tells you. Yeah. Just because Sue was from Anaheim doesn't mean that everybody else was. You got to have a piece. Sam is not impressed with my West Coast stories. I'm sorry, Sam.
Well, that was thing one. Thing two is, Sam, you bring a question for us. So lay it on us. What do you got for us?
Would you rather have Ricky Renteria manage your team in the playoffs, or have Tony LaRussa drive you home from the cookout late at night?
Oh, man.
Well, I'll go first because I'm the resident Ricky Stan. I would definitely take Renteria. In fact, I would not have fired Renteria this last season. I thought he was not fully armed with a complete roster there, and he was armed with a roster that really showed some things that I think a lot of managers would fail in his spot. I don't think Renteria is a good manager, but I just don't think he's a bad one. And I think like the bell curve, the mediocre guys in there get fucked up when you don't have a third starting pitcher or more. So I'll take when you only got two starting pitchers, you got to ride the shit out of those. It creates problems sometimes. So I would take Renteria. We've talked long about Tony LaRussa, and he's shown up just as fucked up and drunk as I thought he might have. So I'll turn over to one of you guys.
So I'll go. I'll say so. This is tough for me because, Beef, I do have problems with his in-game decision making with Ricky Rentz, and then that's kind of been the only thing that I really had a problem with on him. So you're taking really the piece that I like the least about him, but the problem in the question, Sam, is that you said from the cookout, and so we're late night at the cookout, and you're not getting like one or two bottles of Pinot at one of these you got the jug of like Ernest Gallo,
Carlo Rossi.
Yes.
Carlo Rossi, right?
Yeah,
you got the
Carlo
big
Rossi going
jug. You got a gallon that he's taken down.
Yep.
I can't get in the ride with him at that point.
Probably got a Corvette.
I'm walking all the way to Pilsen from Union Park over there in the West Loop. Like I had a long walk because this fucking guy drank a gallon of wine. I can't. I gotta be out. So I'm gonna take Ricky Rentz. I'm gonna deal with whatever weird decision he makes in the bullpen. That's gonna be. It's better than the weird decision someone makes at a red light on the way home.
So I'm trying to think of a funny way to take Tony LaRussa, and I can't. There's nothing fun about that. Like, I mean, maybe if he's driving a van and I'm in the back and I'm encased in bubble wrap or something, like I don't know, like maybe that would work. But I can't condone obviously a guy drunk driving. Like if it's only gonna injure me or something, okay, maybe that's more fair. But like I can't. It's just so hard. But
I do want to know what LaRussa lures My Sock Summer into his van with. That's the real question here.
He's like, hey, I found these bobbleheads in the basement at the T-rate.
Here we go. Another story where My Sock Summer ends up in the back of a van bubble wrapped, right?
Right?
Like, how does this happen?
Or he says,
Every weekend.
He's like, my wife just gave me a half a pack of Marlboro Lights. Do you want to go smoke one of these? And I'm like, okay, cool. Sounds great. Because I would just be drunk enough like to go smoke again. Haven't smoked in a long time, Sam, just so you know, since February.
Good for
Been
you.
really good. Thank you, pandemic. That was one of the good things about the pandemic. Not having to have social interactions with people with cigarettes. It's been great. So I also, same with Loaf, I think that it's really hard to judge somebody like Ricky Rentz when he doesn't have a full gun and be like, why didn't you shoot that guy 6 times? And you're like, well, I only had 2 bullets. You know, like, okay, well, you should have shot him 6 times. You're fucked. So it's just one of these things. Listen, Sam, look it. Okay. I drank this entire bottle of Bourbon County from 2015. All right. I'm a little intoxicated. I can't help it. I did not mean to drink it as fast as I did. I just did. So you're just going to have to go with me here. Okay. So enjoy it. So yeah, no, I can't. I would have to take Ricky Rentz, and I think what's going to happen, and this is how it should go. If life was fair, this is how it would be. Tony LaRussa comes into this game, or into this team, and he should have to have the same team Ricky Rentz has, and he has to take them further in the playoffs because he's such a great manager. He should be able to do that, right? Like that's what you're thinking, because I think on like an uneven playing field, like you can't really determine that. So like he's coming in as Jerry's friend. So you figure Jerry's going to be like, I don't want you to look bad. Like I didn't give 2 shits if Ricky looked bad. So I'm going to sign you a bunch of shit. So I think it's, it's going to be a hard like judge, of how good Tony LaRussa actually is if they hire these people. Now, which could be really great and really fun, is if they don't, and they do like pull a classic White Sox and don't get anybody, and he is stuck with these people, and then like halfway through the year, Tony La Russa is bitching that he doesn't have a third starting pitcher. This would just be like, I would be so happy. I think it would be, well, I would be happy because it's my favorite team and I want them to do well, but like it would be fun to watch, like go, well, of course I can't win. I don't have a third pitcher. And then everyone's going to be like, hey, get Tony a third pitcher. So it could be interesting. There's a lot of interesting storylines.
The only thing that would bring this full circle for the White Sox is if they went out and signed like Johan Santana or something to be the third guy, or CC Sabathia, or
that would be nice.
Radke, a guy who was good in 2004. And insert him in the rotation, that would just make it so much more full circle. Like when they would always bring back Carl Everett and Robbie Alomar, and they bring in Griffey and Manny. Like if they just went out and got Johan to be the 3, that would be prototypical White Sox.
Jared Weaver. Let's bring in Jared Weaver.
Yeah, if they Bronson get Johan, Arroyo. We're gonna start Bronson Arroyo in Game 3 tonight.
It's one of my favorite guitarists. I am just hung up on this My Sock Summer and Tony La Russa van situation. Like I want to like, is he moving furniture with a broken arm? Is Wally in the van? Like I have lots of questions about what's going on.
Treasy, I'll be honest with you. When My Sock Summer was talking, I spaced out, and all I was daydreaming about was, if My Sock Summer got loose of the bubble wrap and he busted out of the van when Tony La Russa is trying to give him the "Do you know who I am?" and then he gets pistol whipped by the cops because they're afraid that he's going to attack them. I mean, that's a sitcom right there, baby. I don't know. I mean, it seems like an idea.
Plus, My Sock Summer's packing just in case, apparently. So,
he's got to collect $500, so he needs a pistol.
Dude,
so Sam, what
first off, I've never collected $500. I had to go one time to an Olive Garden. I picked up $10,000 from a guy, and I had to sit in my fucking car. I was talking to my mom. Remember those old Bluetooth headsets, like when they first came out? Like I had one because it was hands free in California in like, I don't know, 2006. So I had one of those. I'm talking to my mom. I'm like, Ma, you ever counted $10,000 in cash? And she's like, no. And I go, well, I'm doing that right now. She's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in the parking lot of a fucking Olive Garden. I have made it.
The most amazing thing is that someone at Olive Garden had $10,000.
It was ridiculous. This was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Even if they owned the Olive Garden, I assume they have less than $10. I assume they have less than $10.
He was a manager. It was
Of
fun,
what?
man. I mean, he was the
He's
manager of the Olive
Of
Garden.
the cocaine division of the Olive Garden.
I don't know.
10 grand available.
I just know it was a shitload of money, and it was all in like hundreds, and I was just like making stacks. I was like, this is awesome. This is how all the rappers feel. Like, you know, he's gonna sit there in the front seat of my Lumina and this like
My Lumina.
Sam, what's your answer to this question?
Oh, I plead the fifth, clearly.
It's Ricky Rents. 100%.
In that situation, I'd probably take Ricky Rentz. Yeah.
I know. It's hard. You can't there's this like in this cancel culture and whatever, you cannot even show a little of allegiance to somebody that's had a DUI for 2 times. Probably 20
times.
You know.
Probably
like, this guy's been driving like drunk all the time for like his entire life. It's just hard. I don't know, it's weird.
So that was thing 2.
Fuck you.
Thing 3 is a question that we're going to bring to you guys. So right after the election, I was texting with Sammy and Beef about the fact that the odds makers kind of had every state correct. Like if you would have just went chalk on all the states that they had up on these sites, you would have won literally every bet. And what's interesting is you cannot bet that in the United States. Like you can't bet on politics here. And in fact,
Right.
a lot of the Illinois books, it's literally only sports that you could bet on. Like, you know, you can't bet on like some entertainment things and like that. So my question to the group is, for these books that are here, if you could add one thing that you want to bet on from these books, what is the thing that you would say, I want lines on this so that I could bet?
Ooh, man, that's tough. That's really tough.
So I have something in it's a very personal thing. Sam, if you have something that you want to lead off with, go ahead.
No,
I'll give you the floor. Okay.
All you.
The thing I want to lead off, or the thing that I would want to bet on, and I seem to be very good at calling this, is when Wally Money's going to get into a relationship. And I seem to just have like an innate ability. Like I'm a good odds maker when it comes to this, right? I was talking, I think it was one of the last podcasts that we did. And I said, I'm saying this right now. Wally said he's not getting a relationship and he's probably already in a relationship. And I got a text almost immediately the next day from Pete, Mr. Hand, saying, yeah, you call that 100% because Wally just told me he met some chick and he's in love with her. So, and they're no longer together. But I feel like I have a really good read on his, you know, like what he's gonna do when it comes to the ladies. Like he has sworn off women right now because he's a single man. He's not gonna have any relationships, but I know within the next 2 months he will be in a serious relationship again. He breaks up with them for the holidays so he doesn't have to buy him gifts, and then come January he brings them all back in.
So
That's
you
what
want like future bets on when Wally Money will be in a relationship. That's what you're looking for.
I think if I was like privy to more people and their dating habits, like I could probably, you know, make more odds with different people. Like if we had more single people in our group, you know, I could do that, you know, and I could say, okay, this is about when he's going to get in a relationship again. So I think I could, yeah. So it'd just be people's like getting into relationship odds. Yeah.
So like a White Sox, like if Rivers came out, Bet Rivers has now a White Sox Twitter. When will this person be in a relationship? You're betting on that. That's what you want to have.
I could do that. Yeah.
Beef, Sam?
I'll go first. How about the weather?
I went first. You can go second.
I'll go first with the two of us. How about the weather?
Oh, okay.
The
We
weather?
could bet on the weather. For example, weathermen hit about 333, right? In a career. Like they're never 100%
Right. Yep.
Will it rain tomorrow? Yes or no? The yes is plus 250 and the no is minus 300. What's the over-under on the high today? It's 41.5 degrees, over or under. I mean, it's total degeneracy. But I think it could be, if you're into the roulette, you're probably going to be into betting on the weather. And then you look at the forecast and they put these props up on a given day. Am I right? Am I wrong? Or am I?
I love it. No, I think it's a
right.
great idea. Yeah.
That's a very good idea.
I just imagine you like texting with Tom Skilling. Like,
Well, you'd have
how's
to.
how's that fucking cold front looking? I need to know.
Blustery winter cocktail across the Mason-Dixon line. You're like, okay, under. Just getting all the tips out there. It would be something. I mean, you'd have no idea. But I mean, imagine if you could bet on the weather.
You could have a contact in like Nebraska. You'd be like, hey, when that storm came through, where were the tailwinds going? Were they going north? Were they going south? Like, when's this rain going to hit Chicago? Will it hit Chicago? I mean, you could have all sorts of things.
And if it was Illinois rules, because we can't bet on Illinois college teams, we can't bet Illinois Northwestern. I would imagine if it was in Illinois, we wouldn't be able to bet on Illinois weather. We'd probably have to bet on every other state. So it'd be something that they'd have to iron out with the gaming board, but it's a fascinating proposition.
See, you'd want the weather here, right? Because you'd want to be at a game where you're losing your ass in the actual game, right? Like, let's say it's the second inning and the Twins have hit 14 home runs against the Sox, and you're like, shit, I lost the under, I lost my Sox bet. What could happen now? And you're like, well, at least I bet on a fucking monsoon. That's got to come in. That's got to come in. If that comes
There's
in,
nothing like scrolling through oh my God, a rainbow to pop is 35-1 right now. Hey, I'm gonna throw a C note on the rainbow tonight.
Sam, you're channeling your inner Tony from Five Dimes back in the day, because Five Dimes would have odds on fucking everything. Emmy Awards, Grammys, even wrestling matches. They would have low limits, but they would have betting odds in wrestling matches. Something that's a favorite American pastime other than politics is the stock market. If I were one of these sports books, I'd put over-unders on stock market prices, allow you to parlay them together, allow you to do all kinds of exotics with them, because people, maybe they don't want to actually invest them, or maybe they've got them built into a mutual fund inside their 401k. Maybe they want to trade in the market, but they want to go to PointsBet and they want to trade on, okay, I think Amazon's going to be above X price, or Bitcoin is going to be above or below X price for the day. I think a lot of people would love to speculate on sort of a single day bet like that, like you were talking about with the weather, Sam, on anything that is easily measurable, something that is easily like, oh, I can get a clear line on whatever this is.
The price of a gallon of gas. What will it be tomorrow?
Yes,
exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. At a specific gas station, though, right? Because you can't, because it wavers, right? Or unless you're talking barrels of oil, then that's a kind of a different price too. But yes, I mean, any kind of prop like that is measurable, there should be betting markets for it. There's no reason not to have.
I'd love it if it was like, Sam, I forget the name of the guy that you had on. I think it was last week, but he was talking about how Kansas can never actually win their, like they can never cover. So like what even if they're getting like 1 million points, they can't cover. And I could imagine someone being like that. Shell never fucking covers. I'm a BP guy. BP always hits the line. Shell fucks me over every time I bet against Shell.
Yeah, Kansas is 0-7 against the number this year, boys and girls. They have not covered a spread, and it's not like they're getting 3 or 4. They're getting 17, 21. I think the last game they played, they were on the open week, they call it in college football now. They were on the open week this past weekend, but the week before they were getting 35, and I think they lost 42-3 or something like that. They just they make it so interesting, and then the bottom just completely falls out at the end.
Like Kansas's football team was favored by 25 points? Or
No, they were favored.
They were an underdog.
Oh.
They were the underdog to lose by
Okay.
35 or whatever.
And they always lose by more than X. So they've played 7 games. They've been a big dog in all 7, and they haven't come through one time.
Oh, Jesus.
Sam,
They
it's
still got
funny
that big fat guy coaching them, or what? The guy
Mark
with the mustache?
Mangino? No, he's
Oh,
long
is he
out.
dead?
No Mark
Did he die?
Mangino. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Could be.
Just want to make sure.
Sam,
He's
I
big.
had heard some stat about Bill Belichick coaching the Patriots, and that over the time he's coached the Patriots, they've covered the spread by an average. This is like all in, all the games, the closing line by an average of 3 points, which sounds to me like fucking impossible that over that amount of time, any team could be that much better than what the spread is. I mean, do you think it's just pure variance? You think he's just that fucking good and shit that the marketplace has a problem measuring? Like, how do outliers like that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's an anomaly. I don't think you'll ever see it again. I think I saw, before the season, and again, this season's been difficult for them because they had, I think, 4 players on defense opt out. They lost Tom Brady. They don't have much skill and speed at wide receiver. The offensive line has been okay, but it's not the same Patriots team. I mean, in fact, I would argue 3 of the most important pieces are now in Miami now, even if you count Brian Flores, the head coach. So it's just been a slow decline there, and you combine the opt-outs and all the COVID stuff, and it's just been a mess for them. But I saw going into this season, they were 64% against the number under Belichick all time.
Insane.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for your question. I mean, I guess, if it's an average of 3, if they're laying 4, they win by 7. If they're laying 14, they win by, 17. I mean,
Right.
It makes sense. But, man, I mean, that team just – they're so well coached, and they rarely make mistakes. And I think that's really – it's something we probably will never see again. The dominance over not 1 decade, but 2 decades of football. Right. It's incredible. And, some say, well, Brady's worth more. Others say Belichick is worth more. I don't know that you can even quantify that, but the combination of the 2 of them was certainly unbelievable for a long period of time. And they were scary to bet against, man. They were so scary to bet against.
I know, because I'd be against them all the time in the playoffs. I'd always have money against the Patriots, and it would never win.
They were scary last weekend. I mean, shit. I mean, like
right, exactly. They ain't even good.
Tons of people lost on that.
No, that's kind of an interesting thing with gambling is, you got to understand how does the marketplace look at this thing, not just what's this most recent trend, what shit has happened kind of recently. You talked about Kansas being 0-7 against the number, but you don't know if they'll be 0-8 because you don't know if the market has adjusted to that. And they understand, the price should be, 4 points more than what we thought it should have been when it opened kind of thing.
Right. It looks like that game has been, I'm looking at the board right now, it looks like it's been postponed, but going into this weekend on Saturday, Texas a 30-point favorite at Kansas. They come to your crib and they're a 30-point favorite. That tells you everything you need to know. It's really bad.
We're on Texas, right? We're on Texas for that.
Well, the game's postponed, so I guess Kansas is going to cover the 30 this week, but it'll be 0-0.
So I'll give my answer if you guys give a shit, but I'm gonna give it anyways.
I thought you already did. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna go for the cooking shows on the Food Network. Like I want these cooking competitions. I want to bet on these motherfuckers, and I want to be like when the guy like cuts his hand and the blood gets in the shit that he was gonna feed the judges, and now he can't feed them anything. I want to be against that guy, and I want to be like screaming at the TV, "Yeah, fuck that guy." That's the low that I want to get to in my gambling life. Like that's where I want to be. I want to be like the person crying because their cake fell over. I want to laugh at them because I've won $7. That's the life I want to live.
You want to bet against the guy that his cake doesn't turn out, so he has to take all Rice Krispie treats and fill them in there like it is cake, right?
Absolutely.
That kind of person.
Absolutely. I want to see that and know that I'm blowing out the competition. I want to be up 27 points, getting 7 points. That's the kind of situation I want to be in on these cooking shows. And honestly, it's just an excuse for me to watch these cooking shows.
Why even draw the line at cooking show? I mean, there's nothing. I could just picture and imagine the scene right now. Mrs. Teresi gets home, makes a nice dinner. and you're pissed off because you lost a nickel on supermarket sweep, and your night is ruined. You know, you've got to mentally, plow through that because she doesn't know what happened. But you know what happened, and you're trying to eat the chicken parmesan or whatever, and Debbie from Wichita tripped on the line and dropped the melon or whatever, and you lost everything.
She selected the turkey and not the ham. You always go with the ham. The ham's more expensive. Like she like fucked it all up, and like he'd just be like, that's like stupid shit. Like what about the kids cooking shows? Can we do those too? Would you take joy in watching a kid fail and
Absolutely.
making money on it?
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
There's a distinct possibility that in my time I have bet on the Little League World Series.
Yeah.
That is
I like that.
That
too.
is definitely very possible.
You look like somebody that would bet on the Little League World Series for sure. I mean, you fit the profile.
I mean, like
he has a
Sam,
band too.
Like they have lines on that shit. Like it's out there. Like there's.
Do they really?
Yes.
Imagine if we would have had like K-props on Danny Almonte back in the day. Remember? When he was 14 and he was mowing down 11-year-olds,
Yes.
throwing like 90 miles an hour from 40 feet or whatever. Like we could have made a lot of money back in the day. Rondo Polino team from the Bronx, I think that's where they were from. He was just mowing down 11-year-olds.
He had a good 30 for 30. That was a good I think it was 30 for 30. I think it was like a short or something that they did. He went to Southern Illinois.
Really worked out for him, huh?
Yeah, he went to baseball down there, and then like he got his degree in something. But like he basically, it was like his uncle like did the whole thing. Like they just said, listen, just go along with this. Don't worry about it. We know what we're doing. And then he was like, all right. So he just did, and he always felt bad about it, like or whatever. But yeah, no, he went to Southern. He got a baseball scholarship at Southern, and then like got his degree, and he does something. Probably works for Enterprise, but he's all right. He's going.
He had no idea he was doing anything wrong. He was a 24-year-old kid pretending to be 8.
He wasn't that old. Jesus Christ.
Terrible.
Come on, man. Gotta be nice to Danny. Jesus Christ.
That guy.
He would have won you a lot of money back in the day,
though.
Treasy. He would have won you a ton of money if you could bet them props.
Bullshit. He lost
Those
me a lot of
lines have been
money.
ridiculous.
You would have bet on the under, huh?
I was arbed all over Chinese Taipei and fucking lost me a fortune.
I always liked watching the Little League World Series stuff too. Like just because that baseball game, they had that Little League World Series on the Nintendo. I love that game. That was a fun game because they're like you could have fun battles because it wasn't like, oh, the Yankees are really good. You had America and then Japan and all the Philippines and all that shit. That was fun.
I remember
That's
when
my drunk statement of the night.
Jackie Robinson West goes all the way. They win the U.S. championship. I think this is 2014. And we started to cover that team because it was a national story, but it's a local twist to it. Obviously, South Side there on 107th. And I remember watching some of those games when they got deep in the Little League World Series. Like they were in the final, 8 to 4 teams or whatever. And I remember there was one play where the center fielder totally, misjudged the ball, and he ran in and the ball went over his head. And I'm invested in this now. And I remember being in the studio, what are you doing? And we're at commercial break or whatever. My producer's like, Sam, the kid's 11. And I'm so invested because I want them to win. And I hear my dad screaming at this 11-year-old from Roseland because he misplayed a fly ball. Sometimes you find yourself in those situations, and it's very awkward.
Imagine if you had money on it.
I was gonna say
that flipped real quick. Like that was like a case of like people just got way too like. This is why I don't believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, because you have the one kid's like actual hometown, which was outside of the district that he played in, throwing him a parade and welcoming him home. And he's like, he's not supposed to live there. So like, like why are they throwing him a parade? Like, and then like people are like, yeah, we got tipped off because he's living in the town over and he's not inside the jurisdiction here. Like he can't play for that team. And we're like, what's going on? Like, that's why I don't buy conspiracy theories. Like, how are you supposed to keep all these people fucking quiet? And when this kid's like, I mean, it's such a small potato thing, but yeah, who knows? It's a weird thing.
Treasy, tell him the moon landing was fake.
The moon landing was fake. Yes. If you think about the moon landing, it would only take 30 to 40,000 people to keep their fucking mouths shut, which
Only.
is very easy.
That's
I'm
super
pretty
easy.
sure I saw the moon landing set over at Museum of Science and Industry. Like I'm pretty sure I saw that when I was a kid and we walked through. I don't think you can see it now because I think they hid it because they don't want people to really, really know. But yeah, like I swear I remember seeing that as a kid in 4th grade.
Well, all right.
I'm sorry.
We can end it there. Sammy, thanks for joining us, man. This is a lot of fun, and thanks for having a points bet football in the back. That really helps our brand. And really enjoy the time, and hope to talk to you soon. Hope to have you on the podcast again for another 4 to 6 hour session.
Hell yes.
Hopefully this time though, that the bets that we make for the upcoming season actually come to fruition because of a full season, and we're actually out at the park and we have some beers together and really enjoy it. So here's to that, and we'll see what happens. All right, thanks guys.